Y'all, I had to Google how to say rhaphidophora. Rhaphidophora sounds like a Great Depression disease or something. Rhaphidophora. Is a mild case of rhaphidophora. Hi everyone, it's Brittany, your friendly plant-loving internet stranger, and today we are going to be talking about this rhaphidophora. This is the rhaphidophora dragontail in a 4-inch pot. I picked this up at a local plant nursery. I'm troubled because initially I was going to repot this plant into this planter here, this terracotta pot. I like to use my little thingamajigger to put the names of the pots or to put the names of the plants on this. This plant has since passed away, so we're gonna just take this off. I was gonna repot this rhaphidophora. I'm so happy I know how to say rhaphidophora now. I was gonna repot this rhaphidophora. Wait a minute. Y'all. This is the same type of plant I had in here? What? Okay, this is just the moment. Wow. This said rhaphidophora. I used to have a rhaphidophora and I didn't know how to say rhaphidophora back when I had this plant, and it, like I said, it passed away. So I had a rhaphidophora risalis. I don't even remember what that looked like, but it must have looked like this one. Look at me. Okay, well, I already pulled it off, so we're just gonna go ahead and pull this other one off too, because that is not the name of this plant. And I'll put it back on there at some point. My dream is to catalog all of my plants and to not cut myself as I try to take this off. Okay, I can't get this off. It might just be on there, y'all. Oh, got it off. Okay. I got this plant at the same time I got this philodendron Cebu blue, and I really like this plant. I really like both of these plants. The challenge of today though is that somehow I am out of 4-inch planters and I need some more, and I've been trying to use all of the planters that I can before I buy more, and the ones that I have like outside, I have washed them and brought them in the house and like repotted plants into them, but I can't find a second one. I was initially gonna repot this rhaphidophora, and I wanted to repot this rhaphidophora dragontail because it's just not in the pot comfortably. There's a big old hump of a stem right here. You may not be able to tell on camera, but the plant itself is just kind of bulging out of the pot. Like the plant is really, really uncomfortable in this pot. I want to repot this plant, but then as I was grabbing this pot, because this is the pot that I was gonna put this rhaphidophora in, right? I accidentally grabbed the philodendron Cebu blue, because it feels like I'm speaking French when I say that, because they look very similar. I was like, oh, I'll put this plant in here, and then I realized I grabbed the wrong plant. But then when I grabbed the Cebu blue, I saw that there is a root sticking out. Actually, a couple of little tiny roots starting to come through. This is the biggest root right here. You can see it, it's there. That's a root. I kind of want to leave this one alone. So I'm gonna put the Cebu blue away. But for now, because that plant really seems to be enjoying its root boundedness, I want to encourage it to keep putting out new leaves. And I wanna see more of those roots coming out the bottom before I repot it, because I do want to get to a space where more of my plants are root bound, because that's when they seem to do the best. This one I could probably leave alone, but it just looks really uncomfortable, and the soil is not, it's old. I could tell the soil is really old, and it doesn't look like the plant is happy in this pot. So I am going to repot this one in hopes that a little bit more space will do this plant right. So I first want to get my handy dandy bag of old soil so that I can put this plant into this bag and then pull it apart and see what the roots are looking like. This again is just a really easy way for me to pull the plant out of the pot and to make sure all of the dirt is contained and not just like spilling all over the place. As I have pulled the rhaphidophora, is that how you say that? Rhaphidophora, that's it. Rhaphidophora dragontail. I'm gonna have to label this plant because I already forgot the name and I just said it. Rhaphidophora. As I pull it out of the container, the roots are in really great condition. So this was the part on the side here that was not sitting comfortably. And as you can see, it does bulge out a little bit there and a little bit on this side too. There's a really big like stemmy root, and you can see the roots probably would have started to grow out of the bottom of the container. If it was in the pot comfortably, the roots probably would have started to grow out the bottom. So I'm not going to disturb this root system too much. I'm just going to scratch a little layer off the bottom so that when I put the plant in its new pot with fresh soil, the roots will just do their own thing. I don't like to disturb the roots too much, especially if it's already taken the shape. It just makes it a lot easier to like repot the plant. And these roots are really strong, so they're going to just adapt to their new space once I get them into the new pot. So this is really all I did. I just scratched the bottom of it just a little bit and then scratched the sides a little bit just so some of the roots were sticking out, but not too much where it disturbed the shape of this little root ball here. So I don't know where I got this planter. I paid for it. I bought it from somewhere. But one thing I don't like about this pot in particular, and it'll fit this thing just fine, it's a little bit wider than I would like to go. So I think it would have been too big for the Cebu Blue philodendron. It would have been fine, but it would have, I want this one to be in a smaller pot or in a pot that's not as wide. This one has a wider opening. It's almost perfect for this one because the part that was bulging out of the nursery pot here and over here fit perfectly in the wider mouth of the pot. But back to what I don't like about this pot is this gigantic hole at the bottom. Can you see that giant hole? Now this hole is significantly larger than, you see how small that hole is? Look at it compared to this giant hole. Why is this hole so big on this planter? Like, it makes no sense. It's bigger than a quarter, you know? So like when I put soil in here, it just all falls right through. Like, this is just ridiculous. And the last plant I had in here, which was the rhaphidophora, but the last rhaphidophora I had in here, I had to put a little piece of a used dryer sheet to keep the soil from just falling down. I'm not going to the basement to get a dryer sheet today, so I'm just gonna cut this container up. This was the nursery pot for a Hoya rope plant, which I also filmed a repotting for. So if you're interested in that plant, definitely take a look on my channel and you'll see it there. I'm just gonna cut this bottom part off because it's a suitable enough nursery pot and the plant was not diseased or anything. So I'm gonna take the bottom portion and put it over this gigantic drainage hole as a filter so that when I water the plant, it'll still drain appropriately, but so that the soil doesn't all fall out. So this is the bottom. It's just got regular size holes. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. So I'm gonna take this and just put it inside. Actually, I'm gonna cut it a little bit more because if I put it just like how it is, it's gonna cover the hole completely. And that's not what I want. What I want is for the hole to just be a little bit smaller. I still want there to be some drainage, but I just want the hole smaller. So that's good. That's gonna shift around until I actually stabilize it with some soil, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to do. It will just cover the bottom just enough so those two small holes will actually become the new drainage hole for the pot. So just a little hack, if you have a drainage hole that is a little bit too big, like that one was, the afternoon sun is doing its thing, so excuse the lighting change. So now that I have this filter at the bottom of this planter, what I'm going to do is make sure to place the filter over the hole so it doesn't move. I showed you like this, so that the water has somewhere to drain, but it's not like taking over that gigantic hole, that the soil won't fall through. I don't want any soil to come up past where the plant already sits, like where the soil is already sitting. I'm just gonna put a really thin layer of soil at the bottom of this pot and create a little well, and then just sit this plant right in the middle of that. So it kind of sits in there perfectly. As you can see, the plant is still wobbly because I haven't stabilized it yet. To stabilize the plant, I am going to put soil all the way around it and just make sure that I am pressing all that extra soil down so that it fills the gap in between the pot and the plant. And I'm gonna do that on each side of this plant until it's stabilized. And I'm also making sure to press the soil down so that the soil is not just overflowing. When I go to water this, I don't want soil to just be flooding and it to turn muddy. I want it to be able to drain properly, and pressing this soil down on the edges just ensures that the soil will drain properly and that the plant is secure in the pot. And that is it. I just wanted to double check that I can still see some soil. So there is some soil visible, which is an indicator that the filter is working properly. The soil is not falling through, but there's enough of it showing that will let me know that once I water it, it'll actually be able to drain properly without a bunch of soil falling through, and then without too much moisture being at the bottom of the plant, because that could potentially cause root rot. And here is the repotted rhaphidophora dragon tail. I'm going to get her all watered up, and that's that. So she has enough room for her roots to grow, for her to spread out a little bit more in the pot, and so that the roots can properly absorb the water as I am watering this plant moving forward. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, feel free to subscribe to this channel for more plant content, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you in the next video.